What we're going to do today is to discuss, let's say, the transparency between how an organization is inside and how it's seen outside. And we're going to do this by talking a little bit about the experience at Desigual. Before we do this, I wanted to give just a bit of grounding here. Now, there's an organizational theory that talks about decoupling. This was based on an article in the 1970s by Myron Rowan, which talks about decoupling. And that is this idea that there are certain things that make an organization do one thing on the outside and another on the inside, right? It may be about trying to seem legitimate on the outside or fitting in with the competition on the outside, but then there are other things internally that lead them to decouple. So you're doing something on the outside and doing another on the inside, right? This was an idea that became kind of mainstream thinking in organization theory, but gradually we see a shift to this idea that you should walk the talk, right? That an organization should live its values and somehow transmit what it's doing inside to its external mission. So this idea of a decoupling gradually goes away. And we're going to hear a case study in this experience through the experience of Desigual. So I wonder if you could tell us a bit about that process of transformation and the challenge, let's say, of aligning internal and external communication of values.
Yeah, thank you, David. Now in Desigual, we are working on the transformation process, the whole transformation, externally and internally. And at the beginning, we started to do many changes in the product and in the marketing strategy. But then we started to see that our employees, our teams, they had to have our idea about the new culture, the new product, the new brand, and the new position in the market. So we started to see that we had to change the culture, the values, and the way to work in that new direction.
So in that change, I imagine there are several different things happening. On the one hand, you've got, I'm guessing, a change in who's in the organization, right? I mean, there's turnover. And then there is transformation, communication with those who continue. Is there resistance? Do you find resistance?
Yeah. Resistance and different mindset. When the people in the past and our teams in the past, they had a clear idea about that Desigual, that brand. And then when you start to tell them, we have to change, we have to do different things, we have to work in a different way for a different brand and different position in the market. You think that, okay, they are going to understand it and they are going to start to do different things. But in the reality, it's not like that. So you have to think, to start to think in a new structure, new profiles, a new talent, more creative and with a different background to do the change in the brand.
So can you give us a specific case, a specific transformation case?
Yeah, sure. For example, in our creative team in product, so we have two different teams in the creative part, right? In product and in marketing and communication. So when in product you have a team that they were a little bit crazy with our founder doing different designs with the clothes, and you start to tell them like, no, you don't have to be that crazy, and you have to calm down, and you have to start to do different design. The people is like, no, I'm here to do the things that I was doing in the past, because this is the thing or the brand that I like it. And you have to tell them, no, you have to change, and you have to understand now the situation, and you have to understand now the brand. And the people is like, no, I can't understand now the brand. I like it in the past. So for both sides, you have to start to do it in a different way.
Now, I mean, in terms of design, it's logical that the designers would need to be on board with the current mission. Okay?
Yeah.
That's customer facing, let's say,
Yeah.
right? But there's a whole side of the organization that doesn't ever get seen by a consumer, right? I mean, stuff going on back of house, let's say. Do they also need to make a cultural shift? And why not just let them keep doing it the way they were doing it if the customer never needs to know about it? Why not just leave it as it was?
No, it's easier to see that change and that difference in the creative teams, but in the corporate teams, in another different business areas, you can see the same difference. When you have a lot of people and a lot of teams with 10, 15 years working in the company with a culture, a speech in the same way, and you have to start to change it, and you can see the fit, the match and fit. This is the difficult to do the change. So you start to pay attention in the creative teams and in the creative employees, but you can see the difference and the resistance in the whole business areas.
In a sense, we kind of just jumped right into the notion of transformation. Desigual is a brand that let's say, rebranded and took a different design approach, but we didn't actually go into the specifics of what the change entailed. So I wonder if you could briefly, without giving too much away, too much, let's say, inside the kitchen secrets, about this new shift, and then what it led you to look for in terms of your team, in terms of talent.
Yeah. So someone knows something about the new Desigual, the actual Desigual? Yeah? Can you tell something about the changes that you are seeing? Please talk a little bit. Yeah, the prints. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the main thing and the main change that we are doing it is the position that the brand has now in the market. Now we want to do fashion collections, fashion clothes. Our founder always says like, I couldn't present my collections and my clothes and my brand as a fashionist, no? A brand or a fashionist brand, because I couldn't follow the trends. Now, I want to follow the trends, and I want to do my brand more commercial. And the position in the market, we want to be a more aspirational brand, more cool, more fashionable brand. So this is the way that we are doing it. We are taking the same, I don't know, the colors, the crazy ways to create and to collaborate with different designers from outside of our brand. But in a way, how can I explain this? I'm going to give you an example. With our last collection, with a designer, Tyler, from outside, from our brand, from Desigual, we couldn't find the match. So the collection, the capsule collection, is more commercial, but we are playing with the color, with the prints, with bigs and a lot of flowers in the clothes. So we are mixing the two sides or the two elements, style, color, prints, but in a different way, in a modern way, commercial way.
So you talk about two different things. One is, let's say, for lack of a better word, a stylistic shift.
Yeah.
Okay? The collection looks different, or the attitude of the collection is different. Fine. I mean, I think we can think of lots of different fashion brands that do this every season, right? There's a new look.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that the organization needs to be reshaped, right? So there's one thing is the stylistic thing. The other is more in orientation, let's say, right? Going from something that had, as you said, very little pretension at being fashion,
Yeah.
maybe some I don't know, to the extent that a company can be anti-commercial,
Yeah.
or a less commercial approach to
Yeah.
a more commercial approach. And that seems like a shift in values, right? So
Yeah.
one is a shift in vocabulary, design vocabulary, and another is a shift in values.
Yeah.
The first one seems pretty easy to explain to an internal team. The second one is where I would imagine you'd find...
Yeah, and another thing, David, that I didn't mention before, our target, it's in a different way too. So we were selling our clothes to a different woman, right? Our founder Thomas Meyer was saying like, my client is an English teacher, right? So in the past. So now we are changing this and we are looking for a younger people, younger woman. So internally, talking about culture, you have to change these two. And in the teams, you have to be more fresh, you have to be younger, and you have to be innovative, and you have to be quickly doing changes. And these kind of things, the younger people, can you bring this to the company, to the teams?
I mean, it's an interesting challenge, right? Because usually there's this process of acculturation. You bring in new people, you need to teach them this is how we do things here.
Yeah.
And in a sense, you're inverting this. You're depending on the imports to teach you.
Yeah.
So how does that work with the existing staff? I'm sure that was simple and had no friction whatsoever, right?
No, it's really complicated when you have to mix both cultures and both ages, no, or different seniorities in the talent that you have in the company. So you need two things. For the young people, they have to, or they should listen to the people that they are going to find in the company, the people that they were living a lot of moments and different experiences in the company, and the people that we have in the teams already, they have to listen and to see how the young people, they move and they think and they present the strategies or the ideas or how they are, how they perceive the brand outside.
So I want to talk about that perception, okay? There's a brand can very aggressively control how they are perceived, right? And you really could have a case where internally you're doing one thing, you're organized a certain way, but the external branding is flawless and completely communicates something almost opposite to what's going on behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
I think we can think of cases where that's happened.
Yeah.
Right, where there's a beautiful marketing campaign that sells something, values that aren't reflected in the internal organization.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the whole premise of what you're doing is that that's not a good idea. It's not a good idea to have that decoupling, that you have to somehow align these two things, that your organization should be transparent. So why is that so? Why should your organization be transparent?
Yeah, because you have to have the same speech internally and externally. So if you start to do that campaigns and big campaigns, big shows, big collections, and you internally have a talent or you have ambassadors that they are thinking or they are selling in their context, your brand in a different way, with a different speech, with different values, because they are not understanding the new context or the new position, it's going to be really, really difficult to be a coherence between the people that you have living your brand internally and the people that you have outside your community. So you have to understand and you have to talk with the same vocabulary.
Oh, we've talked a little bit about that selling internally of the shift. What about the market? How has the market responded, right? You've got a client, the English teacher you talked about.
Yeah.
So now the English teacher walks into Desigual and she doesn't find what she's looking for. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's been a really bit difficult because I was telling you before, right, and yesterday in our conversation, you have a moment and a context in the market that you are not selling and you are not designing for that old client, right? And the new client that you want to come and to see in your stores or in your e-com, they don't know that they have to come to your stores, right? So it's a difficult moment that you have to find the balance to sell your brand and to sell your clothes. But it's a moment that you have to experience and you have to live in this process when you are doing a transition in our brand.
So the last question I have for you is about culture, right? Because all of this comes down to the kind of, I mean, in an ideal case, you have like a tacit culture where you don't need to constantly be telling everybody on the team how to think, how to work, right? You just build a culture and it's implicit. But you've had to build one in a relatively short time frame. So how do you build or rebuild organizational culture?
So our main 3 values are fun and profit. You have to enjoy and you have to go to the office with passion and you have to enjoy your work. Innovation. You have to be really quickly creative and you have to be open to the world. And teamwork. We have really open culture and we are really transparent between teams to understand the whole vision and the 360 vision for our business.
Thanks, Patricia. So with fun and profit, we'll leave it there. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. It's been a pleasure being here today with you.
Thank you so much, David.